And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey folks, I'm Tom Vasel, and today we're taking a look at Shadows Amsterdam. Now, interestingly enough, Shadows Amsterdam was a game that I knew nothing about when I saw it. It had like a cool, oh look, there's animals in a city, and this guy's jumping and there's flames exploding behind it, a crime has been committed, you're a detective. That's kind of interesting, but what you are in this game is you're teams of detectives and you're trying to solve a mystery that the police haven't been able to figure out. And like all good police in TV shows, they totally hate the idea of anyone else figuring out a crime, so they want you off the case. So you're trying to solve this before the police kind of say get out and throw you in jail for obstructing or doing the right thing, whatever. So it's a team versus team game, and when I went over the rules I said some of this seems familiar, maybe you'll agree. Take a look. You're going to be making a random board up using these pieces, and there's actually one more piece that you need to make the board, and they have different sides. You're just going to be putting these out around this cardboard piece. That on the cardboard piece, in between, there's some open spots. You're going to be filling those with cards. You have a whole deck of cards that have various pictures of different things that are happening in the city. And you're going to be putting 10 of those cards face up. Now, 2 players are going to be running the game. So the players, everyone's going to be split into teams. And one person on each team is going to be the intelligence officer. That person gets their shield, and they get a stack of these cards. One of the teams is going to shuffle through, find a number, show that number to the other team so that they have the same number. Now, the cards themselves are going to be slightly different. Some of the things on the cards are going to be the same, but for the most part, so let's see, if I put this here at the star, you'll see that there's a few things that are the same. There's some evidence. So there's 3 pieces of black evidence, 3 pieces of orange evidence. There are 3 pieces of evidences that are in the exact same spot. And then there are 2 different informants, and then the police are scattered throughout here. That's what the red X's are. So each player has a shield. They have this to show where their team is, and you'll be able to keep track of that. And the players are going to be trying to move around. Now, to win the game, you need to pick up 3 pieces of evidence. If you land on a spot that has your evidence or the evidence that works for both teams, it doesn't matter. So let's say here's the black team here. And when looking at the map, the black team goes to this spot here. Then I say, hey, you got one of your pieces of evidence, and we put it there. As soon as you've gotten all 3 pieces of your evidence, all you have to do is get to one of these informant spots and you'll win. If you ever land on a police spot, that's a bad thing. You'll put a marker here to show the police have caught you, and once it says 3 markers, your team loses and the other team wins the game. So that's how it works. Now, how do you get your team to move? Well, it's a real-time game. So you say go, and then players at the same time are going to be giving your opponent's team these cards that are face up in front of you. So maybe, let's see here. Let's say I'm the black team and I'm trying to get you to move there. So I'll look at that card and go, well, there's all different colors on it, and there's a guy made up of blocks, so I'll give you this card. This card has blocks on it, and this thing is made up of blocks of color. Maybe that's where I want you to go. I'm not allowed to say anything. I'm not allowed to do motions or hum or give clues or point or anything. All you can do is hand the card. And then maybe you go here. Yay! That's exactly where I want you to go. Now I can give you another card. I'll discard that card and draw a new card to take its place amongst the 10 that are face up. You can also have someone go 2 spaces away. So if you're here, you could go here, 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 not over here. You can go 2 spaces away. You just can't cut through here. You don't need to land on a spot. Let's say I want you to land on that chicken tenders and the French fries. But when that happens, you have to give 2 cards. So look at that, and oh, there's a France flag on that. There's food. Okay, so food sounds good. And what else? There's people shopping. So maybe I give you these 2 cards. When you go to a spot that's 2 spaces away, you have to give 2 cards. You have to give them simultaneously, so I can't be like 1, 2. And you ignore the cards in between. It doesn't matter. I'm only trying to get you to go to that card. So I look at this and there's food and traveling. Ooh, France, and I go to the right spot. Now again, they might go to the wrong spot, in which case you have to do whatever, if there's police, you take a police marker, or you tell them there's nothing there, or the informant, or whatever it might be. And that's how the game's played. You're going to be handing 1 or 2 cards to your team consistently until one of the 2 teams wins. If at any point the teams are unhappy with the 10 cards that are face up, both of the intelligence officers can agree together, and they can wipe them all and put 10 new ones out. That's how you play. So the game has, like I said, a Zootopia flair, although it's definitely more of a grown-up theme, I guess. You're going to see all different pictures here, and there's going to be some pictures will have crime or different things on them. It's mostly innocuous for the most part, but there's just all sorts of weird pictures here. And with these different characters, oh, that's not good for this guy. All right, so you're going to go through these, and there's a lot of cards, and they have nothing on the other side. And at first I said, why couldn't these cards be double-sided? But now I see when you discard them, it's really good to have the one side face down. The cards are not amazing quality, but they're okay. These cards are the same thing, same kind of pictures on both sides as you hand them out. The plastic miniatures you move around, these are really nice components. I like them. The shields, on the other hand, these are not very good shields. I wish they were a little bigger. They do show you all the different things that you can do and move around and how you're not supposed to talk and blah, blah, blah. Although you really won't need to look at this, honestly, once you know how to play the game. The game is like a minute to explain or so. It's not that hard to explain. You don't need those. And I wish they'd made a slightly bigger shield. But for the most part, the game is good. There's plenty of these, all these different cards that are in here with different numbers on each side. And you can rotate them 3 ways. So your team is never going to be like, oh, number 7. I know where the stuff is in that one. You're not going to. Yep. This game, I don't normally like to start out a game by, a review by saying, this game is this plus this plus this. But that's kind of what I have to say here with Shadows of Amsterdam. This is Codenames plus Mysterium plus the Zootopia theme. So let's talk about the theme first. The animal Zootopia theme, although, like I said, more of a PG-13 Zootopia, is fine. It works. I don't know that, the animals, it gives you different kinds of animals, and maybe that can be used as part of your clue taking. But, I don't mind the theme. I think it's interesting. I'm not sure what Amsterdam has to do with any of it, but maybe if you lived in Amsterdam, you might notice some of these landmarks that are in the pictures. I don't know enough about the city to be able to do so. Now, this game has some very strong similarities to Codenames, in which there's one person giving clues to their team. The team wants to move to different spots on the board, but not to other spots. Very Codenames feel. But it also has the Mysterium aspect, where you are just giving someone a card. You can't say anything. You can't hint. You can't be like, You can't do anything. You just hand them a card, and then they go to a spot, and they have to figure out how this card points to this card. That's very Mysterium. Except it's teams, and you're going up against each other in real time. It's kind of a weird mix for me. This is the kind of game where I go, that's not too bad. But it's not necessarily the game that I'm going to want to play very often. I don't unenjoy the game. I'll play it. Yeah, why not? It's good. But I think there might be a few too many factors going on. I was never a big fan of Mysterium because I like giving obscure, interesting clues to people, but I was never a big fan of Mysterium because the ambiguous clues, and the same thing is here too. I need you to go to that tile that has water on it. I give you a tile with water on. That's pretty obvious. Sometimes none of the tiles match, so I just say, well, this seems close enough, and you go and you're like, why did you go there? For this reason, the game works better with more than 4 players. Oh, by the way, there's a 2 to 3 player kind of co-op thing where you're working together. But it works better with 6 or more players because when you have teams, you can talk back and forth and say, why did they give me this card? I think we should go there and then go back there, And I would imagine most of the time when people play this for the first time, you're going to mess up more often than not and end up causing the other team to win. In fact, the first time you play this game, if you're playing against new people also, a good strategy would be kind of just sit there and wait for the other team to mess up. And then you win. Which seems a little off, but once you get better at the game, that should not happen, right? You should become more in sync with the other team and know what they mean when they give a card. But if you are on a team, you have the ability to communicate back and forth, and you say, this is what they mean, no, back and forth. Now, the game's also in real time, And I'm not sure why that's necessary. I guess that it's there to keep the game from taking forever. Like, can you imagine playing Codenames in real time? I don't think that would work. Here, I guess it's so to give the card, like, what about this? But why would it have been so bad to go back and forth and take turns? I don't know, and I haven't tried it with turns, but the real-time thing does cause there to be a bit of frenzied back and forth. You really can't see what your opponents are doing. You know, if they accidentally mess up or something, you wouldn't notice because your team's so concentrating on your part. And it's almost like you're playing two separate games. The only interaction is it's a race, one, and two, there are those three pieces of evidence that if one team gets there first, the other team can't get there. So should you go for those evidence to kind of force your opponent down? Maybe, but I don't know. I'm just not completely sold on the real time. So in one package, I get why this game exists, and I get that people are going to like it, and I bet some people will like it a lot. It's just hard for me to say I like this more than Codenames. Yeah, it has the cool pictures, the colorful things, but I can get pictures in, you know, one of the themed Codenames, like Disney Codenames or Harry Potter Codenames or just pictures Codenames. And I kind of like the more thoughtful way that's presented more than this frenzied real-time. I like real-time games, but not necessarily in this way. This does bring something new to the table, right? It's a real-time team versus team game. There's not a lot of those out there. Captain Sonar, there's not many other ones. So this one has that involved. And I think that, again, there's going to be a lot of people who are like, oh, this is really interesting back and forth. And the theme kind of works, too, as detectives with clues and such. So, again, I'm not saying it's a bad game. I just don't think it's necessarily up my alley. But hopefully, if you've watched this, you can see, is that something that you would want to play? And again, if I was at a table and people were like, we're playing Shadows Amsterdam, I'm like, all right, cool, let's do it. And it's also really fast, so I can't complain about the speed of the game. It says on here 30 minutes. That feels like that's on the long end of things. It's probably going to be faster than that because one team's going to move quickly and get there or mess up and let the other team win. Either way, even though I said at the beginning, I do want to make it clear that this, I thought it was like Codenames and Mysterium, and you're watching going, I don't know what any of that stuff is. That's okay. This is still worth checking out. And secondly, even though it does mix those, I think it's its own product in its own right. It's not just a, let's mix stuff together and see what happens. It feels like it's its own take on the genre, and I think a lot of folks will like Shadows Amsterdam.
Dice Tower Judgment, an interesting team game.